Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, respected Dr. Ajit Singh, respected D.Y. Patil Sahib, and uh, I consider it a great honor and privilege to share my thoughts with this august gathering of illustrious leaders of industry, directors, faculty members, and students of business schools, researchers, policymakers, and distinguished experts and delegates from foreign countries who have gathered here this morning. Uh, the theme of the seminar, as you well know, is redesigning of management education and shaping of the future managers and leaders. This is a subject of vital importance for an emerging world power such as India, with its glorious civilizational culture and traditions. And I'm sure the deliberations of this conclave will enable the participants to understand the complex and challenging economic scenario after the havoc created by the pandemic and the advent of digitization, information technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, and other innovations. Furthermore, the need of the 21st century would be of revamping the outdated syllabus and modules and to focus on producing skilled managers and who have an industry connect and also decision making ability. Besides that, there would be a need to upgrade the teachers themselves and have an adequate number of quality trained teaching talent to meet the requirements of the new institutions mushrooming every year in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been hearing yesterday and today and tomorrow, you will be hearing uh, the redesigning of the education and the scholarship for the modern managers of management, as well as teaching them the new skills required. But I will go on to one very important aspect which I feel is of leadership. In this regard, I will speak with a lot of examples so that you understand the importance. Without a leader, there's going to be no outcome. Without an engine, no train can move, no plane can fly. So, leadership is vitally important, a part of the skills that we need to teach to our future managers and leaders in our country. So, I will be, therefore, first and foremost mentioning that at the end of my talk, I will be very ready to accept questions and I'll try and answer your questions as best as I can. Uh, the definition of a good leader is someone who can motivate other people towards achieving a common goal or objective. Uh, the tenets of leadership and fundamental principles remain the same, whether it is the military field or in the corporate sector, civil services, or politics. Uh, Question arises that are good leaders born or made? This question is often asked. I would like to ask you to raise hands who feel that good leaders are born. Anybody in the audience? No one? So, in this interaction, I'll be very happy to have your views as well. So, there is no one. So, therefore, we all conclude that good leaders can be made. But one thing is very important, that something which is necessary for a good leader is God-given. That is the hard disk here, which IQ, which God gives not equally to everybody, but then if you are gifted, that is the only thing which is something. But maybe in the future, they can, scientific discoveries can change the mind as well. God knows what can happen. Robots can take over. Your head will be removed and a robot put there and you live forever. One doesn't know what is going to happen after 10, 20, 30 years. Okay. Then, as I said, the fundamental principles of leadership remain the same. There are 2, 3 differences, but in a military leadership, the leader has to understand that human lives are at stake. A wrong order can lead a lot of people to be martyrs for the nation's cause, but a leader is not the guy who should be careless about ordering such deaths. Secondly, a nation's honor is at stake. All of you will agree. We can't come back and say we got the silver medal or we were the runners up. In this game, we have to, for the nation's sake, die and win. So, motto for us and credo which I followed was, when challenged, we fight to win, and win with a knockout, because it should be a decisive victory like 1971 was. And as there are no runners up in war, so no silver medal will be accepted by the nation. So we have to be number one or we are dead. This was my statement put in the business standard when I was the chief. I asked for my interview. I said, we've got to be number one or be dead. There's no way coming back. Now, first and foremost for a good leader is to have a vision of which has an impact. And historically, you can see, I'll give you the example of Sir Winston Churchill, who was the Prime Minister of Britain during the Second World War. And there were very tense moments when decisions had to be taken. Some difficult decisions had to be taken, but he had the vision. He took the country, he led the country to a victory in the World War II. So you also have example of a military leader, Manekshaw, Field Marshal Manekshaw, whom we all respect and adore. He was a man who led the campaign and the strategy to defeat Pakistan in the 71 war and to create Bangladesh. We also, in the corporate sector, we have many examples, but I'll just quote you one which is historical. It's Henry Ford, who created the Ford Motor Company in the 1920s or so. So these are the leaders who had vision and foresight and who led their teams to achieve success. I also wanted to mention, when we talk of the difference of the military leadership and the non-military leadership, accidentally a missile being fired, which happened in our case recently. BrahMos missile went and landed in Pakistan and shook up Pakistan, though it was inert. But still, it was a mistake. If it had been armed, then there would have been a dangerous situation created, an embarrassment also. But this was one. Secondly, the World War I, if you historically look at it, started with the assassination of Duke Ferdinand Franz of Austria. One assassination started the World War I. So, one action. And also, just imagine Russia is throwing its missiles at Ukrainian targets. What if one of those missiles falls on a nuclear plant? There will be a huge mayhem. They have nuclear plants in Ukraine. By mistake, if one missile destroys a nuclear plant, its consequences will be shaking up entire Europe, and including Russia themselves. If the wind blows their way, they'll be the worst sufferers. So there is the importance of leadership is required to ensure that these type of mistakes don't happen. Our Prime Minister has stated that his vision of India on completion of 100 years will be of a developed nation. And therefore, I would say that his Atmanirbhar concept, his encouraging startups, stand up and start up, these are all which are taking our country forward. And as uh, my friend Dr. Yadav was saying, that the Israeli ambassador said to him that they are fourth in the world as far as startups are concerned, innovations are concerned, and people clapped. But then he went on to say India is the third, so people clapped more. So this is what I want to tell you, that we Indians have a we are gifted with a very fertile mind, a high IQ civilization. You often read that all the spelling tests in America are won by Indians. Indian kids are too good in that. Maths, they are wizards. IT, they are very good. So India is an emerging superpower. And in the time of the young people who are here, the future leaders, you will see that you will be number one or number two of the world, because we have all the fundamentals in place. Ladies and gentlemen, a nation is not made just by talking. You have to have some fundamental things in place. For example, we have one of the best constitutions of the world. We have also a leadership, politically elected, democratic leadership. Then we have a civil service and a highly professional and trained military, which is apolitical. So therefore, I was trying to talk about the fundamentals of India. Now, without these fundamentals, we can never aspire to be a nation of the world ranking. You look at Pakistan, they have played with their government system. Their constitution also came up very late. And even now, whether it is being followed or not, we are not so sure. And their military has dabbled in politics and run the country for a large number of years. But they are almost bankrupt today. They are with a begging bowl going around. Even Bangladesh has forged ahead of them. So you can understand, China is, of course, developed and gone forward ahead of us in many ways. But I believe that that bubble could burst someday, because their fundamentals are not in place. They want to keep the Communist Party of China in position of number one, pole position, and to keep it in that powerful position, they will not tolerate any other. So that where the people don't know the truth, because that's how they're running the country. They only tell the people what they need to tell them. Recently, what happened in Galwan in Aksai Chin, we lost 20 soldiers, but the Chinese lost much more than that, which their country will never be able to know, because they don't declare it. They will never come to know. We know it, but they also know it. The world knows it, but the people will not come to know. So that is the difference between our two countries. We will catch up very fast, I can tell you, because, as I said, our fundamentals are in place and we are moving at a very fast pace. Another point I want to mention about how India is moving forward, the GDP is one of the highest now in the world, is because every Indian is working hard. He may be working for himself, for his family, but the GDP definitely gets increased. For example, on Saturday and Sunday, a three-wheeler driver, a taxi driver, or anybody else who's running a private enterprise, he's working, he's earning money, he's producing something, so GDP will go up. 2 days of a week, if you add to the whole nation of billion, how many hours of work it is? And that is your advantage. European countries, my son is now in France. He is an Indian ambassador in France because he is doing a lot of social work there besides his own work. But he says then weekend nobody works. So therefore, 2 days in a week, they enjoy the weekend. They go to the beaches, they go here, there. That is where we score over them and we catch up. And we are doing it. So I wanted to highlight this very important aspect. Now, when I talked of vision, vision is what made the difference and created people like Zuckerberg of the Facebook fame, Elon Musk of the Tesla, JRD and Ratan Tata for the Tata Group, Jeff Bezos for the Amazon. These are just some examples. And in India, there are so many unsung heroes and heroines who are producing, employing people, but doing initiative, which is called initiative privé in French, which means private initiative. I'll give you an example. My wife runs a small consultancy designing handicrafts, furniture, household accessories, and helping weavers who are doing traditional weaving of cloth and fabrics. So she employs 8, 10 people. Government has not given her any loan or incentive. She has created jobs. I was defense attaché in Algeria maybe 30 years ago, and there young people used to stand against the wall and smoke, young men. So we said, "What are you doing?" They said, "We are supporting the wall," as if the wall will fall if they don't stand next to it. But they said, "Pas de travail, no job." So government can't give jobs to anybody and everybody. No country in the world can have that system. Has to be some initiative which is private. India is full of private small entrepreneurs who are creating jobs, and the government is now encouraging them to do even more. So we are not going to wait for government to give us jobs, we'll do it ourselves. So this is what I want to impress upon your minds, that all of you have potential to be leaders, to be entrepreneurs, and to manage your own affairs and be the master of your destiny. I don't show my hand to anybody. I've never shown my hand. And I see some people smiling because they also never do that. I don't believe in palmistry. I don't believe in astrology. I say you can make your own destiny by your own hard work, focused efforts, and with educating yourself, equipping yourself for the future world. Incidentally, my birthday, which was mentioned here, 17th September, I share it with our Honorable Prime Minister. He's also born on 17th September. So maybe a lot of people in the country will be celebrating my birthday too on that day. But I'm 5 years senior to him. I respect him for his contribution to the country, but I also have, in my own humble way, done as much as I could. Now, vision again unlocks the viewpoint, helps to set an aim or a goal and create the roadmap, and then you can plan the journey, acquiring the knowledge and building the team and training the team to achieve the desired goal and result. Now, just to tell you, there's a famous saying that if you do not know which port to steer your ship to, no winds will be favorable. This is a very famous saying. आपको पता तो होना चाहिए कि किधर आप जाना चाहते हो, किस पोर्ट पे आप जाना चाहते हो, तो तभी उस तरफ आप पहुंचोगे. So we have to define our aim. Based on the vision, you derive an aim. And next point I want to mention is we must think big. Most of us sometimes are conservative. I just want to be here. But why not here? In my family, as you saw in the video, my grandfather was a soldier, simple soldier, sepoy, World War I. And after the war, he fought in Kutelamara with the Maratha regiments, and the battalion which I commanded 70 years later, 5th Royal Maratha, was there. My grandfather fought shoulder to shoulder with the Maratha boys and shared a bond of blood with them. So he was a sepoy. His son became a colonel and his grandson became a general. So in our country, if you're qualified, if you're meritorious, you produce results, sky is the limit. Therefore, a grandson of a sepoy is an inspiration for everybody. In the army, they know it, that his grandfather was a sepoy. I'm proud of the fact that, but he was wounded in war. He was an infantryman. I also was wounded in Kashmir. I'm an infantryman. God has been kind to us and made me rise to the heights which I did not dream of. All of you must know that the aim should be, at every stage you have to have an aim. So when we were commissioned as second lieutenants, you saw that when I was only 19 years, not even 19 years, 18 years and 9 months. Anybody who's 18 years and 9 months here behind me? No. So before you, I was commanding troops in Nagaland and fighting the Naga rebels. Today, an 18-year-old is told by the mother, "Beta, be careful crossing the road," or "Have you reached home?" At 15 years and 3 months, I joined the National Defense Academy. 15 years and 3 months, my mother did a prayer and said, "Ardas kiti ki Rab rakha." Thereafter, in those days, we couldn't even have a phone. Mobile phone is a great thing, 21st century asset, but we couldn't speak to our families, to our parents. We used to write letters once in a month or so if we were not ragged too much. Otherwise, we couldn't even do that. But I'm just telling you, we've been through difficult times. But all that has paid me handsomely in my life. The tough life I've had, I must tell you, a lot of people say, "I want to be in Mumbai all my life." Well, you can be, but that experience is only related to Mumbai. If you travel all over the country, you'll know the country better. Depends on which field you are. I'm from Delhi in the sense my parents migrated from Pakistan, from Rawalpindi, came to Patiala, my grandparents, my parents being in the army, and my in-laws being in the army, we were in Delhi. They were in Delhi. But from 1964 till 1994, 30 years, I did not get a Delhi posting. I said, "I'm one of the best in my batch, but why am I not getting a Delhi posting?" I was on all the borders, whatever you see in the national borders, I was serving all over. I said to my father and my father-in-law, "Please don't interfere in my career." Otherwise, अभी क्या होता है कि बाप को बोलते हैं, "सर, डैड, सर से पूछ लो, मेरी पोस्टिंग करा दो, ये कर दो, चीफ से बात कर लो, ये कर लो." I never asked anybody. But that is my strength today. I can write a book on China border, McMahon line, which is being acclaimed in the country because I'm an authority on India-China boundary issues, 5 years, 6 years research. So that's why I could write. You can't write a book if you haven't got detailed knowledge. If you're not a very well-trained and experienced surgeon, can you write a book on surgery? No question. On a heart operation? No. I want to tell you, these examples remain with us. My example is, there is one plane going to Delhi here, another one parked here. Ticket of this one is 10,000, ticket of this one is 5,000. Which one will you go? If both planes are equal, you go with this one? You raise your hand, those who agree with me? 5,000? Okay, not all agree, all right. But if I tell you this 5,000 ticket plane, pilot is not fully emergency experienced, not qualified, will you spend 5,000 or 10,000? So that's it. It is fact of life that you don't want to risk your lives. Your workers, your corporate juniors will not want to work with you if they know that the leader is incapable, not fully qualified. So therefore, a leader has to be ahead of the pack and trained. So I will now go on to the next aspect is value systems and team building. As I said, without an engine, a train can't move, but without well-oiled bogies, the train will still not be able to move fast enough. You have to have a team. Therefore, building a team is important. As a governor of Arunachal Pradesh, I used to keep thinking all the time, क्या चीज कर सकता हूं? Because governors are not supposed to be executive people. They're supposed to be figureheads, ceremonial figureheads. When I was being made a governor, I asked Mr. Narayanan, who was the NSA, if you are thinking of doing that, because they asked me, I said, give me a challenging job. And Arunachal se zyada challenge was nowhere possible in India today. Even till today, it's the most challenging governor's job. And that's the reason why no governor stayed more than 6 months there. They all ran away for 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years. I was the only one who completed 5.5 years. Reason, you had to travel by helicopter every time from Guwahati to Itanagar, and sometimes the helicopter had a problem, and the pilot told you later on, sir, one wing rotor turned upside down, but theek ho gaya. That means he told us we nearly died, but we are saved. That's why no governor was there. In the whole state, in the capital, there was no medical specialist. I said, हमारे बच्चे दिल्ली जाके पढ़ते हैं, वो आके यहाँ पे क्यों नहीं नौकरी करते? कहते हैं सर वो दिल्ली में रह जाते हैं. They like people going to Europe or America or anywhere, they don't come back. My advice is come back and give back to this nation because you got everything from this nation. That's for the youth. Don't become foreigners. Your roots are here. Come back and contribute here, and you see, time will come when the job requirements and possibilities in India will be better than any other country. Then they'll come back. They won't go because India is moving very fast. And you guys are seeing it. Metros are coming up, expressways are coming up. I have traveled just recently from Delhi to Agra, which used to take the whole day actually to see Taj Mahal, and you came back absolutely tired and fatigued. In 2-3 hours, we were in Agra, and if we wanted to get back, we would have been back and played a game of golf after that. So that's the way it is. Roads have become like as good as Europe and America, and the government is doing it a very rapid pace. You all are lucky. The new generation is lucky because you got these facilities which we did not have. You have a rainbow of options to choose your careers. So don't go by the old engineer banunga, doctor banunga, ya teacher banunga, ya flana banunga. No, choose what is your, what is inside you. Give it a chance. Bloom with qualities which you like, and choose the profession which you want. You have a choice today. Yes, I also want to mention to you that value system mein sabse important hai. What if you have an organization in Arunachal? I had a small lapel badge made with the hornbill, because that's the state bird, a very beautiful bird, a hornbill badge. So anybody who did well, I would go and give them the badge. So this kind of giving a badge is a significance of your appreciation, but linked to where you are, which organization you are. So your company badge, you can think of it and advise your bosses. If they don't think of it already, it will give you a sense of pride, that badge which you wear. Yes, I was the first Sikh Army chief of India, but when the media came to me, as you saw in the video here, I told the media, I never looked at it like that. I'm first and last an Indian. And then I'm a proud Sikh. And also, मी अर्ध सरदार आहे, अर्ध मराठा आहे. कारण काय, मराठा रेजिमेंटचा आहे मी. आणि मला मुंबईकर फार खूप आवडते. आणि महाराष्ट्रीयन जेवण, पुरणपोळी, श्रीखंड मला फार फार आवडते. So therefore, we all have learned, and we should learn and read about our warriors of ancient times and coming down to the recent times, our gurus, our leaders who led. All the principles which are there for good leadership are given in our scriptures and by the examples of our gurus and our warriors. Chhatrapati Shivaji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Rana Pratap, in Assam, Lachit Borfukan, who defeated the Mughal armies in those days. So I'm just saying that those are the leaders whom we should emulate. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot demand respect from your juniors. You have to earn it. This my grandfather told me. Beta, you may have become a second lieutenant, but to be respected by your soldiers, you have to earn that respect. You can't demand it, because that is a bad leader who says, "You, why didn't you salute me?" He doesn't like you, so he looks the other way around. He says, "I didn't see you." How can you then catch him? Because the soldiers also know this guy is not a good leader. He'll lead us to our death. So they would look the other way when you are passing by, don't salute you. And then what do? He says, मैंने देखा नहीं सर आपको. जान के मुंह मोड़ लिया उसने. So therefore, I want to just tell you, a good leader will earn the respect. They will, in fact, when I travel sometimes, some people recognize me. They say, "Sir, aren't you from India?" I said, "Yes." Like that, it goes on, that you earn respect if you have done something good or you have been a good leader. As I said, you have to be professionally very competent, ahead of your subordinates. Only then they will respect you. And therefore, that you should remember. When you lead, don't have favorites. Very often you find somebody getting cozier to the boss and making sure that he gets the best deal. That is not a good leader who allows that to happen. You should have a level playing field based on merit and proven track record and results produced. You go up. That is the way it should be. Yes, everybody's role is important in an organization. For example, in the tank, which is a very massive 40-ton vehicle full of arms, ammunition, everything, but it runs on 2 tracks, and those tracks have chains which are links. The weakest link is the strength of the tank, not the armor which is got, not the big gun it is carrying. So therefore, take care of the weakest link in your organization and make sure that it is made strong, so that if it breaks, the tank stops and then is shot down by the enemy or the air force. So example I'm giving you is that ensure nobody's left. The weakest link should be reinforced by you so that doesn't let you down. Then I would also say there's no shortcut for success. I think from my face, you must be thinking, this guy must have had a jolly good time in life. He looks so happy, he's smiling. Koi uske juriyan nahi hai. But kind of tufans I have been through, kind of storms I have weathered, impossible to describe. That's why I wrote the first book, which I presented to Dr. Ajit Singh. It's a soldier's general. Again, a very well-received book in which I've said everything what happened in my life. If you want to read what happened in Kargil, 10 pages chapter, please read that. It may be in your library. I think there are 5 books of that in your library. I went to the library, I saw it. If you want to know about Siachen Glacier, I'm the man who stood my ground and said, no question of India withdrawing from Siachen. I told the Prime Minister, sir, some people are telling you to make it a mountain of peace. It cannot be, because the moment we vacate, Pakistani will come and occupy those positions. Then don't tell us to capture them again, because it will be my mistake, my blunder to get my men killed. I said, when we can't do that, we'll do somewhere else, but don't take this risk. He listened to me. And I'm telling you, people have written about it. And I'm the man, I was told in article in Frontline by A.G. Nurani, General J.J. Singh is a talkative general. जब जरूरत नहीं बोलता है, तो मैंने क्या बोला, इंडिया पाकिस्तान की सियाचिन की बातचीत हो रही थी, तो उस वक्त मीडिया मेरे पास आई. मैंने कहा, देखिए, जब तक पाकिस्तान ऑथेंटिकेट नहीं करता प्रेजेंट पोजीशन कहां है, हम नहीं विड्रॉ करेंगे. हमने अपना सजेशन गवर्नमेंट को दिया, एडवाइस दिया है, अब आगे देखिए. तो टॉक्स फेल्ड द नेक्स्ट डे. So he has written in his article that because of General J.J. Singh's statement, the talks failed. So why shouldn't it fail? In our national interest, isn't it the right decision? Even till today, we have not come back. So they say generals are pliable, this, that, everything, बहुत कुछ बोलते हैं. I said no to Siachen. I said no to, I'm a leader. I won't let my men die in a futile attempt. वो बोलेंगे फिर से कैप्चर कर लो जी, वो आ गए तो हटा दो, उनको निकाल दो. ऐसे नहीं होता है. तो the other thing, such a committee came to me. I was the chief. I was in Visakhapatnam. They said, sir, army has refused to give statistics of race, religion, breakdown of how many Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, ye, wo. So I said, "So what's wrong in that?" No, Air Force and Navy have given. I said, they have less number of soldiers. Navy is about 30, 40,000. Air Force is about 40, 50,000. We are 1.3 million. We have no reason except for merit and qualifications and capability. I said, I don't look at my soldier and say, where is he, what religion he believes in, what language he speaks, where he comes from. Sorry, he is a soldier. We are brother soldiers. We are warriors. There's no question of, we will not give you. Next day, it was raised in the parliament. I'm telling you, the next day, the media and everybody said, Army Chief has not given any support to the Sachar committee. Defense Minister was Pranab Mukherjee, late Pranab Mukherjee, who became president afterwards. And he gave a reply. He says, I agree with the Army Chief. So that's why till now, nobody has given the breakdown of this, because we are all soldiers. And we are first and foremost Indians. That is what message I sent. So that's why I'm saying, sometimes people loosely say, General ठीक नहीं थे, ये था, वो था, उनको पता नहीं ये सब कुछ क्या होता है. Also, I'll tell you, thank you so much. You have to win a race, you have to have a horse. I'm giving a small example because it's real time. A horse which is trained well, fed well, and rested and prepared for the race. जो भी उसका मसाज वगैरह करना है वो सब होता है, खुराक ठीक होता है, सब कुछ होता है, rested. Now, if you keep your soldiers on the spin and you keep your employees in the company on a spin, running around in circles, they'll be fatigued and tired. They won't be able to give you the best results. So what is required is what we all do. We all put our mobile phones at night. हम क्या करते हैं उससे mobile phone से? Can you tell me, anybody, please stand up and tell me what you do with your mobile at night? You put it to charge, isn't it? Yeah, there's no rocket science. You put it to charge. So you want a mobile phone next day which is fully charged. So don't you want your soldiers to be fully charged, rested, ready to fight and win the war? Well, we had leaders who kept the soldiers in a spin, and in war, all units didn't do well. The units which did well had the concept which I just told you. So run a happy team, motivated team, and also have their batteries charged. Very important next point is don't have yes men around you. Everybody says, balle balle, and come, sir, very good idea, fantastic idea. Bullshit. Tell him, sir, this is not going to work. And these are the reasons why it won't work. Don't be scared of telling this truth to your boss, because he will respect you for that. As a chief, I had a team. I also encouraged, you see, when we were young, we have to send a quarterly security intelligence report, QSIR, every quarter, that everything in the unit is okay or not okay. Morale is high or low. Everybody had all okay, ticks, nothing wrong. But that was not correct. We realized we wanted improvement, we wanted modernization, we wanted ABC. We didn't get it. But in our QSIR, which went up because the brigade or the division would say, oh, what's wrong with you? Everybody is okay and you're not okay. Everybody says rations are okay and you're saying they're not okay. Well, that I realized will only go if we remove that report or we give a window to everybody to give their views. So I started a concept called Dreamers Club. The Dreamers Club was basically anybody having any bright idea, a dream, he could send it straight to the chief's office and my staff would look at it. So imagine the concept was so brilliant. We got many good ideas from the average soldiers and officers, juniors particularly. So that Dreamers Club was my conception. The doctrine of fighting the low intensity conflict warfare was again my brainchild, my contribution to the army. and modernization of the army was emphasized a lot by me, because I knew that stakes are high and we can't come back to the country and face them if we don't win. So we were trying our best to do that. I'm left with some more points, but I think I shall finish in next 10-15 minutes. Is that okay? Am I allowed? Are you okay? Because I will then allow you to ask me questions. One very important thing is meant for not only the students, researchers, but also for their professors. I believed, जो भगवान ने ये बुद्धि दी है, God has given us this intellect of which I just mentioned that we are gifted as a nation, as a race of Indians. Well, that has been given for us to use in this janam, not in the अगले जन्म में. अपना बुद्धि में जो है अगले जन्म में मैं यूज करूंगा या करूंगी, क्योंकि अगले जन्म में क्या बनोगे, कोई कीड़ा मकोड़ा भी बन सकते हो. तो what's the use? Use it in this janam. So THINK was my placard on my table, that I will think, I will use my buddhi and think some ideas every day, every second day. If I am not thought, I'll apply my mind. It's not how much you have qualified yourself. It's how you have applied that knowledge to achieve results. That is what is the most important factor. बहुत ज्ञानी मिलेंगे आपको, लेकिन आप उनसे पूछिए क्या रिजल्ट प्रोड्यूस किया आपने? Zero. So that talking does not help. Your work speaks for you. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, and my young friends, that your work will speak for you. Let it do that. Yes. So please keep a placard of THINK on your table, study table, or on the wall if you don't have a study table. Now, encourage initiative. Now, initiative is something which our army has an edge over the Chinese, because the Chinese soldier is told, what orders we give you, do it. So they'll blindly do that. Jo order nahi mila, they will not do it. Whereas our soldiers have been trained that use initiative where required. Left se theek nahi hai to right se chale jao, koi baat nahi. We have to achieve our aim. So have that initiative. Encourage initiative. If somebody does a mistake in good faith, as a good leader, tolerate that mistake. Accept that mistake. As a general, I remember before I became the chief, I was a major general, then lieutenant general. I used to tell people that we have a big function, like today's function is event. I'm sure the leadership here is good. They will say one big mistake and one small mistake or two small mistakes, I'll accept. पर उससे ज्यादा नहीं होनी चाहिए. But ये नहीं कि कोई गलती नहीं, no zero mistake syndrome makes everybody tense. After, if I tell you, एक बड़ी गलती हो सकती है, एक दो छोटी भी हो सकती हैं, but उससे ज्यादा नहीं. You'll be relaxed. You'll produce your best results. But if I say, अगर किसी ने गलती की, I'll cut your neck, then they will be tense. You have a tense atmosphere around you. Never will you get results. You have to have a friendly, convivial, camaraderie, bonhomie, that kind of a environment. If you create, then you are a good leader and you get good results. These are all based on my formula for success, you know. In life, it was very tough reaching the top. I can tell you, I was telling someone before, out of 3 colonels in a brigade, there are 3 units and 3 colonels. Only 1 becomes a brigadier, 2 don't. But before they became colonel, 50% of the slab is cut already. So out of the remaining 50%, only 1/3 go up to brigadier's rank. And so on. A general's rank only 7% reach. A major general and a lieutenant general 2 or 3%. And only 1 guy at the top. So it's a very steep pyramid. You have to work hard. You have to do that. And also, you have to train your team so that when you go somewhere, you can't be everywhere, they run the show. So you can't have them running like headless chickens if you're not there. And another very important factor which has led me to success is surprise. It's a principle of war, ladies and gentlemen, which is, in my opinion, one of the decisive principles of war. What I mean by that is, in war, if the enemy thinks this is the way you're going to attack, these are impossible approaches to attack, so you attack from there, you will achieve surprise. What will happen? You have to train hard for that approach, prepare for it, but you will achieve your objective with very few casualties. Whereas most easy approach, he will defend strongly, you suffer more casualties. So the point I'm saying is, you have boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, birthday पे gift देना तो बहुत normal बात है. नहीं दिया तो जूते पड़ते हैं. You forgot my birthday, you forgot the anniversary. So surprise क्या है? On a day she's made very good dinner, give your wife the next morning one or two flowers from the garden only. You don't have to buy it from a shop, but say, darling, you made such a lovely dinner, so this is for you. Or your child gets 20 out of 20 and you put a chocolate slab under his pillow. He gets up, ये क्यों? मेरा birthday तो नहीं है, but beta, you did so well in the test. So surprise element, that chocolate slab is much better than a fancy cake on the birthday, which everybody expects you to do. Unexpected cheese kariye na. So these are the out of the box ideas. People who do that, who thought of a electric vehicle, Tesla, nobody thought of it 20 years ago. Today it's there, and I've booked one for my wife. I said, you use a modern vehicle, and electric vehicle which is not polluting, we can be charged, and then you are happy. So what I'm saying is, these ideas will come when you allow your mind a free rein. Surprise factor in business. You are going to join industry. You should come up with a product which the others cannot even think of. That is a surprise. That will give you dividends. Okay, then I come to some of these essential qualities. As we learn from our scriptures, you lead from the front, you set a personal example, and you also, as I said earlier, don't have double standards. मेरे लिए ये है, आप सबके लिए वो. No, you have to be with the people, with your team. You have to eat with them, dress with them. Good corporate leaders are doing it, I can tell you. They wear the same dress discipline as the team which is working on the floor shops. So they get better results because people are happy with them. They identify themselves as good leaders. So already I have said about create a happy environment around it. I went to one unit and I said, how many terrorists have you killed? I was a brigade commander. He said, sir, we didn't do much. So I said, why? Quietly, one junior officer comes and tells me, sir, our CEO is the biggest terrorist. सबको terrorist करके रखा है इसने. तो युद्ध में वो कोई ना कोई उसको गोली मार देगा पहले. कहते टेररिस्ट क्या ढूंढे, ये तो हमारा टेररिस्ट हमको लीड कर रहा है. So please don't be terrorists as leaders, because you can terrify your command and get away, but results नहीं निकलेंगे कभी भी. Yes, one very important point. I lived my life as a tiger. It was in the video you saw, tiger of 9 Marathas and tiger of Jhelum, North Jhelum sector. Because in the army, on the wireless sets, there's a tiger speaking. That means the CEO is speaking. And the adjutant is lion, his executive officer, and the quartermaster is lamb or sheep, the doctor is sheep. These names are there from World War II. But anyway, when you are a tiger, then behave like a tiger. Now what it means, that you take stand on principles and for the welfare of your men and for the army and for the country. And you don't become a rat in the rat race. Because, darling, ये करना है हमने, darling, हमने ये करना है. तो darling पूछती है, क्यों करना है? See, I'm a rat in this rat race, मैंने brigadier बनना है ना, तो ये करना ही चाहिए. So similarly, if you want to rise in your job, in your profession, you become a rat, then you are only serving your boss's happiness, not your own. So do your work, do it well, you'll rise if you have to. If you don't rise, you're happy. I believed, it's there in my book again, a happy colonel is better than an unhappy general. There are many generals you find. There are many generals you'll find who are cribbing, oh, I could have become army commander, oh, I could have become army chief, but usne meri report kharab kar di, usne. I mean, this is what they gupshup they have in the club or in their drawing rooms, when that is not correct. If you have been a rat, then you tell your wife in the beginning, you married a rat, तो फिर rat की life लेंगे, बन जाऊंगा कुछ भी, पर क्या फायदा है उस achievement का, if your wife becomes a mental wreck, and your son becomes a hippie, and your daughter runs away with your driver, what happiness? You become a general, but घर का तो खत्म हो गया ना सब कुछ. So what is the success at what cost? So that is the point. It's very important. Yes, I went to one unit and I said, you're not doing well. He says, sir, मैं क्या करूं? Sorry for those who are not able to understand Hindi. He says, sir, what can I do? I have got nehle pe dehla hai, mere officers. In a jocular fashion, they are 9s and 10s. So I said, listen, isn't it your duty to train them? If you have not trained them, my friend, don't call them nehle pe dehla, because I will call you the joker, because after 10 years, the joker. Are you a joker? No, sir. Then I said, you better train them. Next time I come, I want to see that you don't say this statement. Sir, I have got only nehle pe dehla. Have I made my point? Because I took a very local example. Kara सांगितलं काय? हो नाही. Kara सांगितलं? वर. Shukriya. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the end of my talk. I'm very grateful that you patiently heard me, and also I saw some smiles, I saw some claps. Thank you very much for that. Now I'll request you, if you have any question, whichever I can answer, I will answer. I'll endeavor to do my best.
Good morning. Salute you.
Can you introduce yourself? Then
Yes. So, but before that, I would like to salute you for what you've done for our motherland. I am Professor Suchita Shetty from GNIMS. While I mean, it was an amazing journey. You took us through that, whatever you shared. So we could actually visualize those borders when you were speaking. But my question categorically is, you mentioned about a strong point, and that was fundamentals are very important. So when we work for an organization or for a country, sir, there are a lot of youngsters in the target audience here, and we as faculty, we are responsible for mentoring the young generation. So if you could just elaborate more on what was your experience when it was handling or taking some tough decisions. How could you more elaborate on what are those exact fundamentals that you want in the coming generation, and especially we being as faculty members as well? What are those fundamentals, and how did you ensure that you never compromised on those fundamentals? Thank you, sir.
thank you very much. Very good question. Basically, there can be two situations. One where you are the boss and you take the decision. So it may be a difficult decision, but think it over, consult with your team, consult with your well-chosen advisors, not yes men, and then come to a decision. But don't take a decision which I would call bhed chal. Bhed chal mat karna. वो भी ऐसे कर रहा है, वो भी ऐसे कर रहा है, तो फिर आप भी करोगे, you'll get mediocre results. You have to, as I said, be original, innovative, and come out with a good solution which will get you the better results than the competitors. So that is the point for a leader, that you have to meet challenging situations in this manner, not arbitrarily gut judgment. Analyze, well-informed decision. But if you are a worker, if you are the junior, then you have a difficult issue, that your challenge is that how do you convince your boss that this is not a good thing, not a good idea, and therefore this is how we should meet the challenge. So you have to be clever enough, tactful enough. One of the qualities of a good leader is he should be tactful also. You can't be very abrasive. So if you're tactful, you'll be able to convey it to the boss. So both ways, I've answered your question, that you can meet the challenges very well.
I am Professor Prasad Rao, Director from Sharda University, Greater Noida. Yeah. I am Professor Prasad Rao from Sharda University, Greater Noida.
Yes.
I would like to ask you a simple question, sir. I'm very excited to understand your journey, your successful journey, and becoming the chief of the army staff. That's a wonderful thing. Well, my question is, in your life journey, in your professional journey, did you feel like quitting, from the position anytime?
Did I what?
Quitting and leaving that role or quitting from that position?
Quitting.
Yeah, quitting.
Thank you. Very good point you said. I believed in my destiny, and I believed whatever orders I got in life, I would be a tiger and take a decision based on being a leader. I can give you an example. In one exercise in Arunachal Pradesh, I was a colonel. We were asked to cross a river, but heavy rains took place, and you know what happens in heavy rains? It was a torrent. I was told at midnight by the brigadier, JJ, you have chickened out. Why haven't you crossed the river? I told him, sir, the waters are so, we are throwing trees across the Nala. They are getting washed away like straws. So what do you want me to do? No, JJ, I thought you will do it. I said, sir, how many lives are you ready to accept? As a CEO, I knew I can be sacked by him because I was being very straightforward. I said, how many lives are you ready to accept? This is a peacetime exercise, but the rains have unfortunately come. How can I comply with your orders? That is how I took a stand. So I have taken many stands like this. I can tell you, I always said, out of the three colonels, if one is better than me, I went at my pace. And if they could beat my pace and go ahead, I would salute them and say, good luck to you. Thank you very much for the army. I salute the army, and I'm on my own. I'll find my way. I'll do another thing. I always believe that. Thank you so much. And
Thank
time is.
you. Thank you, General. And I take this opportunity to wish you a happy birthday in advance, which is on 17th September.
Thank you.
Right? And in fact, the audience, General Singh will now present his book, that is McMahon Line, to Dr. Kiran Yadav, our convention director. McMahon Line is a book which deals with the India-China relations and the boundary issues, and it was launched in June 2019. Louder, audience. Thank you. May I request the dignitaries on dais to kindly occupy the seat. Thanks a lot, sir.